What's up everybody, this is BR here, and today I want to talk about an issue that I have with Apex Legends, primarily having to do with the new editions of Legends that seem to be coming out. If you're the average Apex Legends fan, then more than likely you're actually kind of appreciative of how diverse the roster is at the moment. You have so many options to choose from, and it seems that seasonal editions of Legends isn't going to be slowing down anytime soon. And I really do appreciate that about Apex Legends. But the part that really bugs me, however, is how they're designing these new legends. And it might be a little bit tricky for me to explain, but here goes nothing. On paper, everything seems to be going according to plan. New legends are being added that have unique abilities that don't really hinder the gameplay that much. Apex Legends takes a route less traveled where the abilities of these legends really don't dictate the result of a match, rather they kinda add a little bit of flavor to the combat. But I think with this less impactful design, the developers of Apex Legends have gotten a little bit sloppy with their design process, or at the very least the execution of some of these legends. And one notable thing that I have to point out is the fact that a lot of these legends seem to encroach on one another, where some of these legends share abilities that are pretty similar, to the point where I can actually point at a couple legends and be like, alright, this one's the real legend, and then here we have the diet version. For example, Bloodhound and Seer. Unless I'm really going out of my way to play Seer, in a more competitive setting, either when I actually do want to play something with a recon or I'm playing ranked, I'm most of the time going to go with Bloodhound because of how versatile his scans are, especially since Apex Legends is a pretty fast game at higher levels. Unless of course somebody locks out Bloodhound, in which case I'm now left to just choose Seer. Now that isn't such a bad thing. I mean, I do like playing Seer every once in a while, but I do feel that his scanning ability is just a little bit weaker than Bloodhound's. And this is where we come to the first design issue that I have with the new legend design, where you really have to ask yourself, well, why am I going to play this legend when I have this one over here that's a lot better at what it does? It's specialized and it's what I want to do, so I want to play that legend. But then a defense might be that Seer has a couple of abilities that is distinct from Bloodhound's and actually does a little bit better. For example, the heartbeat sensor, which allows you to detect people through walls just in case they're camping or maybe hiding in a specific place. But I really don't think that that's distinct enough to separate Seer from Bloodhound. Again, if I had the choice, I would still choose Bloodhound because his ultimate and scanning is just that much more versatile. It's more well-rounded. And dare I say, it's a lot easier to use. Though the most interesting part of Seer's kit that I do have to give credit for is the fact that his scan can actually block healing. So that's a pretty cool thing, but I don't think it's good enough to sacrifice Bloodhound's general scans, not to mention his tracking ability, which can very well let you narrow down weak enemies. Now, I'm not saying that this is inherently bad if two legends share a similar purpose, but it's the execution of it that really matters because, well, really, Seer and Bloodhound aren't that distinct from one another. I mean, you're still going to use them the same, you're looking for players in a wide area, and Seer and Bloodhound pretty much get that job done in general. If you want an example of legends that have the same purpose but execute it a lot differently, then look no further than Octane and Pathfinder. Both legends are very much movement capable, but they do things a lot differently than one another. Octane's stim lets him run around a lot faster on the ground, and his jump pad lets him cover great areas either for rotation or pushing. But it's very limited on where it can go as it can't really clear that big of a distance, so you're not really using it for accurate positioning, you're more just using it as a way to get in or out of fights, and moving around the map without really caring of where you're going, you just need to go into that particular direction. Compare that with Pathfinder, who doesn't move as fast, but the freedom of the grapple hook lets him go on different verticalities, allowing him to position himself a lot better. And his zipline works a lot better at more precise rotations or precise positioning. You're not going to be using Pathfinder to get in and out of fights fast. Rather, you're going to use it before the fight so that way you can position yourself greatly. This is why Pathfinder had that recon ability first. This pretty much allows you to move around the map with more knowledge, making you a crucial positioning tool. And then on top of that, you also have Valkyrie, who is undoubtedly the greatest relocation legend in Apex Legends. And I really do think that's what makes their design so great. Because between the three of them, you really have a hard choice of which one to play because they all have their own usefulness. They're not really reserved to when somebody else chooses another legend, you really have to pick your favorite. And really compare that to the newest edition, Newcastle, to Gibby, and it's not really a competition. Gibby, hands down, just provides a lot more cover and a lot more utility compared to Newcastle. You don't have to wait until they get down to give them a pretty good shield, nor is the bubble limited to a pretty small area. And of course, not to mention that Gibby has a very powerful ultimate that can be an extremely useful area denial, where Newcastle's ultimate is pretty much just a rampart wall without the boost, which if the enemy team can aim or, has a Gibby ult, pretty much nullifies your shield. And there's also a second issue that I have with a lot of these legend designs where some of them sound pretty cool on paper, but then when you actually start to use them, their abilities are pretty lackluster. And it's not so much that they're balanced poorly, it's just that, well, their abilities are just inherently bad, or not as useful as other legends' abilities. For example, while Bangalore is inherently weak because of the scan meta of the recent legends, making her smokes weaker than usual, Bangalore by design is still a very well-rounded character. Nobody's gonna get mad at somebody choosing Bangalore because her fighting capabilities are just that good. Her smokes do give you a tactical advantage, and her speed boost when getting shot at is a very well addition, giving her an edge in 1v1 combat. And her ultimate does a really reliable job on being good area denial. So even if her balancing is kinda poor at the moment, her overall design is just so great that it doesn't really matter. You still like using that legend because her utility is still pretty good. Now compare that to Mad Maggie and, well, you have a pretty bad situation. You really do have to rely on RNG when it comes to her passive because, well, you need a shotgun. And the only real shotgun that you get consistently is the Mozambique, and I don't think you're ever gonna be really using that. Her ultimate is fine, I guess, but it isn't as powerful as some people would like it to be, not to mention that there's other legends, of course, that do the job a lot better. For example, Octane. The only real unique thing about Mad Maggie's ultimate is that it has great utility as a concussion grenade. Throw that sucker at somebody and watch them get stunned. And finally, her tactical, it's alright at getting people out of cover, and the tool's utility comes into question because it doesn't really have that wide area of effect. It can deal pretty good damage to deny somebody rezzing behind a wall, but that situation just doesn't come that often, and when it does, more than likely you're just gonna jump in there to finish them off. So while Mad Maggie does shine every now and then, especially with her shotgun buff and using a Mastiff for a Peacekeeper, it's so inconsistent that it's not worth the sacrifice. Cause then what if you're in a long range fight? What if you need to rotate somewhere on higher ground? Well, shit out of luck. And you get to this situation where you're like, damn, I wish I was a Pathfinder right now. Or damn, I wish I was a Valkyrie. I wish I was a Horizon. I wish I was a Bloodhound. I wish I was even a Loba. Or even a Caustic. Anything else than Mad Maggie. So while you might like playing Mad Maggie, you always get these small little nudges in the back of your mind where you're like, I wish I was another legend. And this also kind of applies to Rampart, Fuse, Mirage, Crypto, and even Newcastle at times. Okay, maybe not Crypto, because he does have a powerful tool with his drone, but if you really need to revive somebody, then more than likely you're already losing. So in conclusion, the big two issues that I have with Apex Legends design for new legends has to be 1, they're designed too closely as another legend without having its own uniqueness that it becomes pretty much the other legend but worse. Or 2, the ideas that are put onto that legend are unique, but they're only good on paper. In execution, they really don't serve a purpose because of how situational they might be. And because you always have the option of more well-rounded legends or legends that do their specific job extremely well, you might as well play those other legends. Now the solution here obviously is just for them to be designed a lot better. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be adding new legends. I understand, people like the variety. I like the variety. I really do like playing Fuse, Mad Maggie, and Rampart, but they really should be focusing on reworking these legends a lot better compared to what they are now. Of course, without taking what makes them fun. And that's really the real challenge that can't really be addressed because, well, Apex Legends is a live service game. What are you gonna do? But tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you think about the designs of new legends? Do you agree or disagree with my sentiments? If you found this video interesting, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. If you'd like to see more content like this in the future, make sure to subscribe and I'll talk to you later.